Peace, Israel, and Yah bless. Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth. The title of today's lesson is Refusing to Call Our Enemies What They Call Themselves. Once again, today's lesson is entitled Refusing to Call Our Enemies What They Call Themselves. Now, brace yourselves, tighten up your jaws, do not turn to the left or to the right, or you will get hit in the mouth. We are to walk the straight and narrow way of the Most High's commandments. We are not to deviate to the right hand or to the left hand. We are to walk the straight and narrow way. Now, as it pertains to our people, we continue to see the hardships come upon us. The abuse, the killing, the murders, the unjust sentences, etc. We are feeling the affliction and the fury of the Most High in the midst of our enemies. The Most High has delivered us unto our enemies and has given our enemies dominion over us. There is no might in our hand. We are powerless, for we are here on punishment. Now we are a duplicitous people, for we fail to recognize and identify and to call out that which is before our very face. As we see the hardship and the violence towards our people, as our sons, our daughters, our uncles, and our fathers are murdered or given unjust sentences, as we see our children being treated unfairly and then sometimes killed by enemies, we fail to identify exactly who the culprits are. For if we were to do this, it would show us our own errors right before our face. So we have become wordsmiths, as our enemies have been. They are very creative with words and will use many different words for the same thing or the same people. And we have began to be just as duplicitous and hypocritical as our own enemies. So when we see these foul behaviors done unto us, we call these individuals, we may call them white supremacists, we may call them race soldiers, we call them bigots, we call them evil, we call them all manners of things when we see them shoot down our sons and or our daughters, or they turn their face away and will turn a blind eye to the injustice and the violence that they see against our people. So we resort to calling them all manner of other names. Race soldiers come to mind. Oh, he's evil. He's a white supremacist, etc. What we have to do is to call those people by the name that they call themselves. They call themselves Christians. What we have failed to do, we fail to actually understand the dilemma that we're in. We have been delivered to in the hands of our enemies, who are people who walk contrary to the Most High's law, statutes, judgments, and precepts. Since we did not want to adhere to righteousness, we were delivered into the hands of the wicked. Now, if we go through the scrolls and we understand that, then we should know exactly where we are, why we are here, and whom we are among. We're in the midst of wicked people. And so what we have done, we have taken a hold of wickedness. So now we are calling ourselves by the same exact name that the wicked called themselves. So if we are to identify him correctly and say, my son was murdered by this Christian, or this Christian gave my son an unfair sentence, or this Christian raped my daughter, and this Christian choked my son to death in the street, and this Christian's out here calling me all manners of names and spitting in my face, then the house of Israel will be forced to analyze a few things. They will have to ask themselves the question, why am I calling myself by the name of my enemies? Why am I calling myself after a man or a group of men or a group of people who have demonstrated themselves to be unrighteous and unjust in every way right before my face for centuries? Why am I calling myself by his name? Why have I not identified this earlier and addressed this man by the name that he calls himself? And why am I and my people willingly calling myself what he calls himself? When we look at Christianity, we see clearly from the times of the Crusades, the Roman emperors, etc., who have made themselves gods. They have murdered our people throughout the earth. The Christian nations are the nations that rule the earth today. The United States is headquarters and controls and runs all the nations of the earth. They must adhere to the Christian nation, the Christian standard. All of this comes from and stems from Rome. All their systems of government is a Roman system of government. Christianity itself is a system of government. And when these nations have any disputes for land or over land and have wars, when any of these nations politicians are either presidents, etc., they are elected, their first visit is to Rome. They contact whomever is in the papacy. Why? Because all of these nations adhere to the doctrine of Rome. They're all Romans and adhere to the Roman standard, which is idolatry, which is Christianity. So the house of Israel, as we come into this great awakening, we must be willing to face the fact that we are in error. We know that the Christian nations have murdered us, has raped us, has killed us, has taken our substance, has raped our children, have sold us, and done all manner of vile things to our people. Yet, none of us, though we know that the Christian nations have done all of these things, rape, murder, lies, theft, etc., these are not the title or not the titles that anyone would want to have. You would not introduce yourself and say, hello, my name is such and such, I am a rapist. Hello, my name is such and such, I am a killer. Hello, my name is such and such, I am an enslaver of people. Hello, my name is such and such, I am a killer of children. I am a liar. I am a thief, etc. No one would dare introduce themselves using those titles. Yet the Christian fits every last one of those and more. And somehow, as we bear witness to the wickedness of these Christian nations to our people, somehow we are foolish enough to call ourselves by their names. We must understand that the Most High said clearly that his people are called by his name. Most High's name is Yah. His people are Yasharal, the house of Israel. Most High never said his name was Christ. And so therefore you should not call yourself a Christian if you are the children of Israel. We are a family set apart from the rest of all the nations upon the face of the earth. So there's no way you're going to go through these scrolls and read carefully and clearly where the Most High said that he is holy and that his people are to be holy and that we are a set apart people, that we are not to be as a heathen. And here you are, you come to these many nations of your captivity and you seek to be as they are. You seek to marry them. You walk after their ways, their customs, and their laws. It should not be done, but it was prophesied by the prophets that we would do these things, that we would be deaf and that we would be blind, and our knowledge will be removed. In other words, we will be dummies. So here we are, facing this man, looking him dead in the face. We see him kill our children, and we want to call him a race soldier, and we want to call him a bigot, and we want to call him a white supremacist. No, call him a Christian. Because then you're going to realize how silly you are for calling someone what you are also calling yourself. And you can see clearly that there's a difference between you and them. And so when you see this, you tend to want to justify it. Well, these are not good Christians. So now you're trying to outdo the Christian. These are the same people that's been our tormentors. These are the people that have murdered our children, that have murdered our elderly, that is killing us before our very face. You list all of these European nations: France, Germany, England, Spain, Portugal. I mean, you just go down the list. Go down the list of them. These are all enslavers of our people. These are all murderers of our people. These people are liars. These people are thieves. They are unscrupulous. They do not walk in the confines of the Most High's law and can care less about it. So we're going to have to face the truth. If we're going to deal with these people and see what they're doing to us before our very face, we need to stop playing these word games, calling them white supremacists and race soldiers and all this other nonsense. Call them a Christian. That way, when you start to say that, you remind yourself how silly you are and how silly you're being when you decide to call yourself a Christian and you continue to try to make yourself a part of what they're doing when you see clearly what they have been doing and what they are been doing has been harmful to you and your people throughout the earth. So this is the great awakening of the man of Israel. You're to stop playing games and realize that these Christian nations and these Christians are the people killing you and doing harm unto you. And the minute you realize that and withdraw your hands from them, and when you do that, turn to the Most High's law, statutes, judgments, and precepts, then you're actually going to get some results. But while you're in this nation, in these many nations, playing stupid and playing dumb, you will continue to get what you have been getting. Nothing. Now, I had to redo this portion of this video for the simple fact that my battery had ran low, so I had to redo it. But there is a part 2 to it where I will be reading from the scrolls. That way the children of Israel will be reminded, because once someone has lost their mind, has lost their memory, they must be reminded of things from times past, from the days of old. So when you hear the scrolls, though you may have heard it before, it's to reiterate, it's to anchor you in the Most High's laws, statutes, judgments, and precepts. Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is a truth. Make sure you identify these people as exactly who they call themselves. They call themselves Christians, and you see all of their works are evil. So therefore, it should be clear to you and plain to you that you should not call yourself a Christian, for you are not a Christian. Peace, Israel, and Yah bless. Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth. You are Yasharal. You are the house of Israel. You are the sons and daughter of the living creator of Israel, Yah. Peace, and Yah bless.